We are back at it, Mr. Graham. It has been a whole month off.
I was going to say, some habits die hard because I was waiting for that cough. I know Mel was too, and it finally fucking came.
Yeah, well, you know, I got to clear my throat. Sorry I'm fat and have allergies. Get the fuck over it, okay?
No, I won't. Still, I will not.
You will not? You will not, okay. Will you with a goat? Will you on a boat? Will you?
I am Sam. Sam, I am.
Yeah.
Fuck you. Let's start the show.
That's my line.
Born in the land of Bowie, Maryland. Bred to be a fan of fucking Everton. Punch you in the eye and drink your rye. Sam Houston.
Sam Houston?
Arsenal fans have another Sam. AKA the fucking Gooner Graham. Snub of my lord. Look straight in shorts. Sam Grammy.
Sam Graham.
Fucking United! Fucking United!
Is this the real life or is it just fantasy? Hello and welcome to the Drunken United Football Show, a completely biased recap of the English Premier League as told by two common American schmucks. I am your host, Sam Houston, and across the way from me is the road-weary, working hard, chasing his tail, Samuel Graham. Sammy, how you doing, buddy?
Doing very well. Thank you very much.
Nice.
How are you?
Wonderful. Normally you have a little bit more to pontificate upon there, but I guess not.
Hey, Mamma Mia, Galileo, my friend. Let's keep it going.
We are recording at the Drunken United Public House just outside our nation's capital. You can check us out on all podcast platforms. Please be sure to rate, subscribe, review, and share with a footballing friend. Should you want to chat with us, there is many ways that you can. Sammy, tell the good people how they can get in touch.
The same as it's been for the last 3 years, ladies and gents. It is at DUfootballshow on all the social medias and DUfootballshow@gmail.com to get in touch via old school email.
Or as I like to say, Sam, you can just zoom your ass on in, which is the case of our guest today. We got Steven. Steven, how you doing, man?
Sam, thanks for having me. I'm doing great today.
Excellent. And who do you support, sir?
Well, I'm a Watford supporter. And yeah, take it at what it is. I'm a Watford supporter.
Hey, wait, Sammy, tell me if you heard this one
All
before.
right.
A Fat Drake impersonator and Sir Elton John walk into a bar. Sam and myself both work in the wine and spirit industry and both share a deep, passionate love for all things distilled spirits. So as the red-blooded Americans that we are, we vow to have a drink in our hand throughout this show and every single show. Sammy, what we drinking?
You made us a very lovely pineapple punch, sir. But you will speak about the punch. I am here to talk about Tito's Handmade Vodka, which is the vodka you used in it. One of the cleanest vodkas around. It is made from 100% corn in Austin, Texas, the father of craft vodkas. It has been around now for quite a long time and is now the #1 spirit in the country. You should be able to find it in a 1.75 liter, which is what you purchased to make this punch, between $29.99 and $34.99 on the shelf all throughout these great United States.
Well, as we tend to do with every 3rd of July, there's always a little leftovers, and I always like to use one of the drinks from the 3rd of July for the next show we record, which is the case here. What I did was I infused the Tito's with pineapple for about 3 days, and then on the last day, I added mint as well. It's very important you add the herbs second, Sam, because it can very much overpower the drink.
Absolutely. Mint especially. Look like a double mint gum commercial.
Then I mixed it with a little bit of pineapple juice, and then I squirted in about 4 fresh limes because you want to make sure there's that balance of acid and sourness so it doesn't get too terribly sweet. And then to spritz it up, I used a lemon lime seltzer water, not a soda, because, again, the soda would have the sugar, and that's what you're trying to stay away from. You want it to be light and refreshing. And added that all together, and I think it turned out pretty damn good. But you know what?
It is delicious.
Steven came prepared. Steven, you got a beer, don't you?
You know, it seems like I always have a beer in my hand, but it's funny you mention alcohol because I'm not that big of a wine connoisseur nor a spirits guy, but I'm big into the craft beer scene here in California. So today I'm keeping it clear and West Coast. I got Russian River's Blind Pig. It's a 6.25 West Coast IPA. It's clear and golden, hop-centric, beautiful pine bite. Some might think that the pine bite is a bit overly aggressive, but I think it works quite well for me. You have orange peel in there with a slight breadiness, and you do pick up some citrus flavors like strawberry and tangerine as it warms. It's always a favorite, and I always got it in my fridge.
Excellent. Very, very good.
Sounds delightful, to be honest.
And Sammy, what else should we do?
Always remember to drink responsibly.
All right. Well, let's have ourselves a hell of a show, kids.
There we go.
All right. So each new season, we always like to introduce the newly promoted clubs, having kind of a getting to know you segment solely focused on the one club and one supporter from said club. So we start with Watford, a side that's been in the Premier League for quite a while, unfortunately went down, but they came right back up.
I just need to quickly say,
Yeah?
Mr. Steven, no pressure. You're speaking for all of Watford Nation right now.
So what got you into Watford, Stephen?
Well, oddly enough, it was FIFA on the Xbox back in the early 2000s, I believe. I was using the Hornets. Troy Deeney was a beast, and Ben Foster couldn't beat. But then again, maybe it was a skill at playing the game. I don't know. But I started following Foster a little bit more closely when he made the move to Manchester United. But unfortunately, he was behind Edwin van der Sar. And van der Sar was on his way out in 2011. But the Red Devils decided to bring in another young kid we may know, David De Gea. Mm-hmm. So Foster only saw about 12 games in the next 5 years, and that's when he went on loan to Watford in 05 for a couple of years. But I was excited to see Foster return to the Vic in 2018 when he was purchased from West Brom. So that's a little bit of the backstory on why I support Watford.
Excellent. Very cool. Very cool. Sammy, why don't you go ahead and handle the next one?
Not a problem. If you could, my good sir, please just give us a quick history of the club.
Wow. Well, let's see. I've never been to Watford, never been to England, but I've got a group of guys I drink beer with and talk fantasy football here online, and I'm trying to get back there to check a Watford game out. But Watford's in the town or borough of Hertfordshire, which is about 15 miles northwest of London. Their club badge is a hart, which is an adult male deer, and their logo is a hornet. Now, I know that sounds weird, but hang with me here for a minute. So Watford adopted the Hornets nickname back in 1959. And that's when they changed the kit colors from blue and white to yellow and black, and the club crest depicting a hornet. And then I think it was in 74, 75, the crest was changed to depict Harry the Hornet, who's the club's mascot. And then in 78, that crest was replaced with what we see now, a male red fallow deer, which is also referred to as the hart. So it represents the town's location in the county of Hertfordshire, and Watford is known as the Yellow Army or the Orns. So that's a little bit about the backstory. They played Vicarage Road, seats about 22,000. Stadium's got the Rookery End, which is for the supporters. Let's see, it has a Graham Taylor stand for our manager, who's been the most successful manager at Watford. And it's got a distinctive sort of a wavy type roof along the west side of the ground. Then on the east side, as you guys mentioned a little earlier, Sir Elton John, he's got a stand named after the former chairman when he became the club's chairman in 76. And he's the one who actually appointed Graham Taylor, who was our most successul manager, and saw the club jump 3 divisions and up to the English First Division. So it's kind of exciting.
Well, I know that there was some financial woes with Elton John and
he put all of the club's finances up his nose.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And into his liver.
You don't normally want to have a rock star owning a football team when he's an actual rock star because, he didn't like cocaine. He just liked the way it smelled. A lot,
He sold the club in 87, then repurchased to get in 10 years later in 97, stepping down. And I think it was 2002 when it required a full-time chairman. But he continued on, but he's no longer a majority shareholder.
But he's still a diehard, isn't he?
Yeah, he still holds a huge financial interest in the club, and he still attends games regularly. But he's part of what Watford is. I mean, not only at the Vic, but in the big picture. So it's kind of exciting to see him there at times.
On Friday? This past Friday,
I
procured my tickets for next September on the farewell tour at Nationals Park.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah.
With my brothers and sisters, my wife, their wives and husband, and my stepmother.
Yes, it's his late father absolutely loved Elton John. Was his one seed number one with a bullet. And Sam, you've seen him now 3 times,
No, this will be my second, and it's not until next September.
Yeah.
When it comes to DC, but I saw him once up at Hershey Park, oddly enough. He was in the Hershey Bears Stadium.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, very cool.
It's pretty good. That was a
Nice.
much more intimate venue than Nationals Park.
No, yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so it's going to be good though. Excited.
Yeah, well, you go in with the whole family. It'll be fun.
Yeah, loads. Can't wait.
Just make
It's
sure.
a big old cry.
Just make sure to mock your brother for me with "Hold Me Close." It's time to dance, sir.
Well, so I don't know if anybody knows this story, and it's a very quick one. But "Hold Me Close, Tiny Dancer," is the lyric for that song. My brother, as we were one day like driving in the car singing it, this was right around the time my father passed away. He was saying, "Hold me close, it's time to dance, sir." And I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" So those aren't the words. It's Tiny Dancer. And he goes, "No. Are you serious?" I said, "Yeah." So why'd you think it was that? He goes, "I don't know. He's gay. It makes sense." Hold me close. It's time to dance, sir.
No, it's not. No,
Idiot.
It's not.
It's very funny.
Your brother, very talented footballer, common sense of a doorknob. All right. So, Stephen, what changes happened to the side this past season when, obviously we know about Decore moving on to Everton. And did you lose many other players? Because it looked like you kept Sar, which was huge. And I'm sure it certainly helped in the promotion of the club as well. But what kind of changes happened with the club as a total when you came down to the championship?
Yeah, we lost some good players, but last year didn't start well at all under the care of Vladimir Ivic, who was hired on a one-year contract from Maccabi Tel Aviv. And, oddly enough, he won back-to-back championships. Granted, it's Israel, it's not England, but he had a good track record, but he seemed to butt heads with management and players and just was not that manager who had that Watford feel to him. So he lasted 4 months, I think about 20 games. Watford was languishing in about fifth, which wasn't bad, but wasn't great. So he was terminated. And then Francisco Javier Muñoz Lompart, or we know him as Cisco, Spanish footballer from La Liga in Georgia, returned he debuted at Watford. He played most of his football in Georgia, though.
Famously wrote the thong song also.
Well said.
He coached here in 2019, then he took over as the manager in 2020 in Dinamo Tbilisi, and then he was signed late December for Watford. But I do think he was the biggest change of the club and the biggest impact after we were relegated to the championship. His impact was immediate as Watford won like 4 out of 6, and they improved to third in the table. But he got a lot of praise, not only from the Pozo ownership, but the chairman, Scott Duxbury. But he was somewhat in the mold of Javi Gracia, in my opinion. He's loved by his players. He's loved by ownership and the supporters. And after he got the 1-0 win against Millwall to confirm our promotion, he said, "I want this moment with our fans. And when our fans are in the stadium the first day of the Premier, I need a big party." So hopefully we can give him that big party here when the Premier League starts. But his run, he guided Watford to second the championship. That was awesome. Earned praise from the technical director saying he did a great job. We believe in the group. The coach around him is highly professional and has numerous resources. One moment we're out of the playoffs, but then we recovered the ground and we're satisfied. I think where we continue with him. Now, I take that with a grain of salt because we've seen that before with Watford managers.
Yeah, definitely.
And, even though some of these managers brought that team spirit with them, other managers just didn't have it. Pearson didn't have it. Sanchez Flores, neither of them did that. But Cisco came in. He switched the system to a 4-3-3, and he moved Will Hughes back to a central role with his two midfield partners going forward in the attack. And I think this suits Watford's style of play. And it just clicked, and it was evident by the results this season. The players they're actually a huge part of why Watford was relegated. But many of those same players, as you mentioned, with the exception of a couple, helped us gain promotion this last season.
Well, Graham and myself, we always have liked Will Hughes as a player.
Absolutely. I thought he was honestly one that was going to move on. Yeah, at the end of last season, I think he's a very serviceable midfielder. Absolutely.
And then Sar, besides doing the lovely brace on Liverpool, was also a hell of a player too.
Absolutely. And Will Hughes, that was the one thing lacking from his game was goals. And in the season Watford were relegated, I believe he got 7 or something. Yeah. And scored like 2 or 3 games on the pop as well early on.
Yeah. So you were talking about the change in formation, going with the 4-3-3. Do you think that that's something you're going to be able to continue to do in the Premier League, or are you going to have to start being a little more defensive minded?
We'll have to see. I think the defense is solid. If there's any part of our game that is solid, it is the defense, starting with whoever we start in goal, be it Foster, be it Bachman. But, I mean, the defense has quite a bit of experience. You know, I believe there will be times where we'll probably throw 5 defenders back there. I mean, you play Man City, Liverpool, Man United, maybe even Everton on a chance, but I doubt that. But no, for the most part, I think we'll see a 4-3-3 going forward. I think if they can hold the ball and get those counterattacks down the wings with Sarr and maybe Kinsema on the left with some speed in the middle, we may be successful. But you know, my expectations are dialed back. I'm not going to say we're going to be in the top 7, even the top 10. But as long as we stay in the Premier League, it's all that matters.
Excellent. Now, Sam, I'm going to do this next one, and then you do the last 2 questions we got. Yeah, what you got?
No, that's fine.
Do you have? You look like you had something.
I was just going to say I'd like to poke the bear. I figured I'd go ahead and pit you 2 against each other real fast. But if you'd like to do it, go for it.
Okay. Well, yes. So you and I, for a very long time, shared the same entrance music with Z Cars. Now, I know you guys have recently changed it. What have you changed it to?
All right. So there's a little bit of backstory on Z Cars, right? It was the longest running BBC TV series, right? Mm-hmm. And Everton was the first club to change to the song in the 62-63 season. Now, Watford followed suit in October of 63, and then we went on this huge unbeaten streak that lasted until December of 64. So it was Watford's manager, Bill McGreary. It was his favorite television program during his tenure. So before relegation, Watford actually changed that song, and they consulted Sir Elton John, smash hit, I'm Still Standing. Well,
wait, hold on real quick. Time out. Stop here. You changed it at the beginning of 19, didn't you?
Correct. I don't know if it was the beginning. It was somewhere during 19 it was changed. Yeah.
Got relegated that season?
Because we were so fucking shitty. Let's change the walk-on music. Maybe that'll help. Sir Elton John, what would you like?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, also, how many managers that season? What was it, 4?
Something like
4.
that.
Yeah. Garcia was the first to go,
They
right?
only averaged 3 games apiece.
Hey, bring back somebody. Oh, what was it? Sanchez was like
Kike Sanchez Flores.
Yeah,
he was gone, then he was back like 2 weeks later.
His 3rd go around with the club.
Yeah, he hadn't even unpacked the box yet.
Then
when he left his office.
Then Nigel Pearson's out there dances with the wolves and shit.
Yeah. I have long held the belief, and I know how important it is to both of you all, but
yes,
Z Car's lame as shit.
Okay, well, I love it.
One, I'm Still Standing is terrible entrance music.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
also.
it is.
I can think of at least 3 Elton John songs off the top of my head that would be more suited to walking out an entrance music.
You know,
let's hear.
I could think of worse things.
I'm not going to belt out the great man's material. I'm not worthy.
Like your mid-table problems that you're dealing with us as well. There.
I also don't feel like crying right now.
How's Europe treating you this year, Sam? How's Europe treating you?
Restful. Those beaches on the south of France midweek seem really nice.
Yeah. All right. You got the next one, killer.
All right, yeah. So besides Sir Elton, who is starting to take over the show, Sir Elton FC, what other famous supporters does Watford have? Are there anybody of note that we should be following here, or is the rhinestone-studded pianist the best of the bunch?
Well, he's probably the most famous supporter of Watford. There was rumor that 2-time unified heavyweight world champion, Olympic gold medalist Anthony Joshua, who was from Watford, was a supporter, but I guess on Troy Deeney's podcast, Deeney Talks, he actually claimed his allegiance to Arsenal. So instead, we get fucking Spice Girl Ginger Spice as a yellow and black supporter. Not that I ever want to say that too loud, but yeah, another one. And I'm seeing a pattern here. George Michael, I guess, has a passing fancy for Watford too.
Oh my God!
But
all 3 of those are getting used.
So do a lot of Elton John's mates, but you go figure that out for yourself. And finally, there is one guy, Adam Leventhal. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's an English TV presenter and journalist for The Athletic UK. He supports the Hornets and provides some excellent news and notes on the Athletic site. But beyond that, I support him. There's not much out there.
So, Stephen, we do a bit during the season where we do our betting, but it's a total ripoff of the Tony Kornheiser show. He's the PTI guy. He does a radio show
out loud.
I don't mind. In radio, if you're hearing it from me, it's probably been stolen. Everybody steals each other's material. So, but the Kitty the chicken bit is we have Kitty pick games, right? But the way she picks games is by showing like photos on her iPad or YouTube videos or her record collection, and it's always her hanging with somebody famous. So I assure you, there will be Kitty and Ginger Spice hanging out when she's picking Watford to win. But, it's Watford, so it won't be very often. Anyways, Sammy.
or you know what? Her and Elton John pouring a pint over George Michael's grave.
Yeah. It was
pouring one out for the homies.
I will say this much. She never picks Everton. So we could see her picking Watford over Everton. That could definitely happen.
As long as we have 2 wins on the season and they're both against Everton, I could care fucking less.
Yeah. You know what, Sam, before we get to the final question, let's go ahead and touch base on that a little bit, because I've been the recipient of everything and it's been A-okay, like my club has been. But you guys have been screwed over right proper by Everton on more than one occasion.
Yeah, 2 years ago when Watford sold Richarlison, I was just fucking pissed. I thought they were going to stick with him, let him run the year out. But as we saw, he's only a half-season player. He can play about 16 games, and then he gets fucking tired, and he was gone the second half of the season. So he moves on to Everton, which I've finally come to grips with, but we got a nice paycheck out of it. What, 50 million? Somewhere in that 50 million range. That's cool. I mean, we can reinvest that back into the team, find some more Richarlisons. His name is Joao Pedro, but we'll get to that. Hopefully he doesn't go to Everton. But then they fucking steal our manager. Yeah. I mean, I was so down with see, I can't even remember his name now.
Marco Silva.
Thank you, Marco Silva. I was watching him with the Tigers. He was a manager. It's like, all right, we got Silva in here, and then Everton's like, yeah, we're going to steal your manager too. Come over to Everton, we're good to go.
And we did actually get in trouble for it too, because we started talking to him during the
you tapped him up.
Yeah, during the season. And also the team was doing great, and then Watford completely fell apart after that too. So
that was Richarlison. It coincided with Richarlison's dip in form, which happens every fucking year.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, Marco Silva became a snake. I mean, I can't stand the guy now.
I've been saying since he was with the first season with Watford, Marco Silva's a fraud.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a very good manager, personally.
Well, he hasn't. He's managing.
What did he get y'all to? 9th? Congratulations.
Yeah, it's
yeah, but where do you expect Watford to be? I'll take a top 10 finish every year.
No, I know you will. I'm talking about him. I'm talking about them.
I did love. Do you want to go ahead and talk about the bit with the snakes and Watford, what they were doing whenever they played Everton?
Oh yeah, it was those little inflatable snakes, and they were waving at fucking Marco Silva like, you snake, you left us for allegedly a better club. And, I guess they are better with a bigger pocketbook and some quality players. I'll never say that Everton's not a good team. They are, even with Jordan Pickford in goal. But
it's a European carry-all, please.
Yeah.
It was sort of just a shitty thing to do in the middle of the season. I mean, but Watford's been known to change managers like they change fucking underwear.
Yeah, that's true.
The snake, the inflatable snake thing, holding it up when y'all visited. And then brought him into your stadium as well.
Even brought him into our stadium as well.
That was when somebody in Arsenal printed off fake £5 notes and would chuck them at Ashley Cole. Do you remember that? After he moved to Chelsea.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they called him Cashley Cole forever. And they would every time they would just throw fake cash at him like Monopoly money. It's fantastic.
Oh, the snake bit, even game respects game. That was pretty fucking great.
It's awesome. Yeah, all for it.
All right, so let's wrap up this section. Sammy, give us the big final question.
All right, what are your expectations this season, and why is it staying up in 17th on the final day?
Why is it what? Staying up 17th. Okay. Actually, that's the all-important question, isn't it? Of the promoted teams, I do feel that Watford have the best chance based on one thing, and that's their record-setting defense back in the championship, 30 goals conceded. But I know the Premier League isn't the championship. We've been here before, and over the last 3 seasons, I was doing a little little researching here. Goals have actually decreased, down by 48 goals over the last 3 years. So that's from 2.82 down to 2.69. So I think statistically that bodes well for the Hornets because we are defensive. That's how we're going to come out playing every game. But we have seen the departure of some of our previous Premier League players like Gerard Deulofeu, Eddie Nketiah, Daryl Janmark, Danny Welbeck, who was fucking worthless, Roberto Pereira. But we have retained the core group from last season. The big name, as you guys have already said, Ismail Assar, because honestly, I thought he was going to be gone in January. I thought they were going to move him for big money, but he's a key player. And coming into this season, there's some big expectations on his shoulder. He scored 13 and 9 last season. So if we can win some of those games that we're expected to win, say against the bottom half of the table, and be competitive with some of those at the top, there's no reason that we can't continue in the Premier League. I think the only thing that's going to stop Watford will be another manager shit show by ownership when, the Hornets hit their first winless patch, maybe go 4, 5, 6 games without a win. And then we're going to see a rotation. Gracia, Sanchez Flores, Ivic. We can't go through 3 or 4 managers in one season and remain in the top flight of English football.
That's very true.
So the question is, if Cisco remains at the helm and our defense holds up, the big question is, where are we going to get the goals from?
Yeah. All right. Well, then we're going to get into that in the next segment. It's time to tell you what little anybody knows. It's speculation time. Tell I'm a little rusty there, Sam.
A little bit.
So
You're the only one.
Yeah.
We're both a well-oiled machine on this side of the table.
Fuck you are. Hit that mute button. Hey, look, she did that right. How about that? Well done. So we're
check one. Yep, she hit her own button. Yeah, it's good. It's fine.
Sam, we'll talk a little bit about speculation of the rest of the league, but what we really want to talk about is what Watford's doing in the offseason to sign people. Who are they linked to? And also, Stephen, we want to kind of find out too, what do you think pieces are that you need to get? So who have you signed so far?
Well, so far, we really only have 2 relatively big names that have been signed, but they both fill holes. We signed Emmanuel Dennis, center forward from Club Brugge. He made about 75 appearances, 9 goals. He was loaned out early in 2021 to FC Köln over in the Bundesliga. I think he made 9 appearances, but he was somewhat disappointing on loan, and hopefully
they were relegated, I believe, FC Köln, weren't they?
Yeah, I think they were.
And 9 and 75 is not a great return for a center forward.
No, it's not. But we got guys like that on our team now. Isaac Success, and I've never been a huge Andre Gray fan, but I think both of those guys need to go. But Dennis does come with a bit of baggage, poor behavior, and not a team player. But we saw the same thing with Etienne Capoue when he came over from Spurs. So hopefully hopefully Cisco can get something out of him. And other managers have criticized Dennis for his lack of commitment and training. So we'll have to see if he can sort all that, and hopefully Cisco can take him under his wing and sort of transform his attitude and improve his game. So basically, he's a low-risk, high-reward type of player. Watford still need to find goals. And at that price, I mean, we acquired Gray at $18 million from Burnley. That really just hasn't worked out for us.
Now, you said in the last segment you guys moved on from Jerry Deulofeu. Where did he end up going?
Deulofeu went back to Udinese. After the knee injury, the ACL, MCL, he was done. Watford moved him on. I don't think he's ever going to be the same player. He was great while he was there, but I mean, now he's in Ismail Assar. Ismail Assar is in his position. I think I'd rather have Assar, a little younger, 13 goals, 9. I think 13 and 9 last year is what he scored. So it's sort of exciting to have him still back at the club, and we've got Joao Pedro up front as an 18-year-old Brazilian, but the other, and I think Dennis will split time up front with him. But the other signing they made, little old, age 30, Danny Rose came over on a free, signed a 2-year contract from Spurs, 214 appearances, I think 10 goals, 29 assists in 14 seasons. And I know Rose sees himself as a first-choice defender for our team. But I don't think that's how it's going to play out this season. I think Adam Messina will definitely have the starting duties, but I do think Rose will push him. And I do think Rose is a class player. And even though he sort of fell out of favor with Pochettino and Spurs.
He's a fucking
he's got
dickhead.
proven.
Yeah. What was that?
He's a fucking dickhead.
Oh, because he kicked your goalie one
He's
time.
the one that drop kicked Bert Leno in the chest 2 seasons ago.
Well, if anybody needs a good drop kicking, it's Bert Leno.
And then dove
Or-
when Alexis Sanchez called him.
Or if anybody, hold on. Or if
I can't remember
anybody,
if it was Alexis. No, it was Lucas Torreira.
or if anybody just likes dropping things, it's certainly Bert Leno. Yeah, remember between his legs.
And I'll drop
against
some
us.
truth in this bitch in a minute, okay?
When we
Be careful.
You know, when we took 6 points off you last season.
Fuck
Remember
off,
that?
man.
Yeah,
First time
exactly.
since what? 1738
You know
or
what?
some shit.
All I know is the last season. The last season we took 6 points off your ass. Thank you very much. And you're not playing in Europe. Haha. So
I'm sorry. Yeah, I think he has proven experience at the back line, and he could potentially play forward, sort of as a left wing position, an advanced defender position for Ken Sema. So again, he sort of reminds me of Etienne Capoue. Capoue came over, didn't have the best work habits. He was frozen out of Pochettino in the starting 11 in the national team. And then Capoue went on to be, our best player a couple of years in a row. So
absolutely.
I'm sort of excited for Rose, even though he does have some things to prove.
Let's say on a serious note, Danny Rose, I think, is one of the biggest proponents for mental health in the Premier League as well. And talking about some of his struggles he had at Spurs, and then kind of coming to the realization when he lost his place at Spurs, that he needed to humble himself again, and tried to do that at Newcastle. Didn't exactly work out, for everybody. Part of that, I think, was just, let's say, the lack of leadership. Not poor leadership. Let's just say there's just none.
Yeah, that's true.
With Steve Bruce and Mike Ashley. So
yeah, and also, you have to figure you're adding Premier League experience to the team. That can't hurt. That can never hurt.
Right, absolutely. When you have somebody like that walks in with that chip on their shoulder, like Etienne Capoue or Danny Rose potentially, and then you have somebody on the other side, 15 miles south in North London, someone like Kieran Tierney that told his agent, "Don't give a fuck about the numbers. I want the time."
Right.
Don't sign a deal unless it's 4 years or more.
Right.
Done.
Yeah.
I don't care about the money. I don't care about moving. I don't care about your fee. Take another 5%. Don't care. I want to play for Arsenal. Just make sure I get 4 years.
Got it.
And it's like that passion, that kind of humbling, just I know where I'm at. I know who I am, and this is what I want. Those players, some of those players that have kind of quote unquote fallen from grace, if you can call Spurs grace, have needed to work out amongst themselves before they succeed elsewhere.
So, Stephen, along with, because we're just going to ignore the fact that Sam turns around and makes every show into an Arsenal show.
That's not true. It's just what I know best. It's a fucking example.
Yeah, I hear you.
But you know what? I just won't give any examples. I'll just make outlandish claims and do what I want.
How about that? That sounds exactly like an Arsenal supporter. Well done. Thank you for keeping the suit. So, Stephen, what are some holes that need to be fixed? Obviously, you're not 100% sold on center forward. What kind of depth do you think you need to the squad?
It's goals. Where are our goals going to come from? If we want to stay in the Premier League, Sarr is going to have to come up with a lot more than 13. And Joao Pedro is going to have to come up with more than 9. We've got some players. Ken Sema, our wide left forward, he was solid this year. They brought in Philip Zinkernagel, who did a good job. I only think he had 1 or 2 goals, but he can feed the ball, plays wide right. Nathaniel Chalobah's been there for a couple of years, but he still really hasn't, matured or flourished. I know he's been injured quite a bit. But Joao Pedro is the interesting one because he reminds me of Richarlison. He's Brazilian. He played at Fluminense. He moved to Watford, and I believe they have talked. But he's only 18. He's got some serious skill. But we'll have to see what he brings to the club. We don't really have anybody in our youth system who can match Pedro right now. So unless they sign somebody else,
what makes me nervous. Is Joao, like a similar situation to Joao Felix at Wolves.
Yeah.
They're kind of hedging their bets on this young kid, and then it could go great. But more often than not, hedging your bets on a teenager has gone bad.
Well, I would give this much credit in this circumstance for Watford is that kid also just got an entire season in the championship.
And that could toughen him up a bit. Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah, when you talk about sending people to England, Real quick, when you
say,
send people to England, they end up learning how to get the shit beat out of them, and that kid already just learned how to do it. Please go ahead. I'm sorry, Stephen.
I was going to say, if there's one area where our scouting is sound, it is in South America. I mean, we bring some of these guys in, they find them, and, they end up like Richarlison. $50 million later, we're walking away laughing, and another team has a star. But, it's a business, right? In the grand scheme of things, football is a business. Watford is making money hand over fist. I'm not really going to complain if we end up with a Richarlison at Watford for a year and a half, 2 years, and then they move him on. We know that's going to happen because that's what Watford does.
Yeah, well, it buys you 5 more of them.
Exactly. 5 more opportunities.
You have to be able to, particularly if you're not one of the big 6 clubs that's just printing money from shirt sales all around the world. You have to be able to sell valuable assets when they're valuable, and then be able to continue with that money to continue that system.
Before you make your next point, I'm just going to add in the allegedly tag here, because anytime we're talking about an organization with Italians in charge and interest in South America, I feel like we should do it with kid gloves. Makes me very nervous. So anything that gets said in this section, allegedly. Okay?
And then their biggest fan was a rock star in the 70s. Yep, it's all come full circle. Watford allegedly is smuggling cocaine into England. That's it. It's done. Allegedly.
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 Oh, for fuck's sake.
Do you think that there's going to be much more movement from the team? Do you think there are going to be many more signings before the window closes?
Would you want to play as Watford if you're a star forward?
No, but do you think you can find one?
I don't think they can find one. Yeah. I think they're set with what they have. I know we're in the process of moving Andre Gray on to, I think, Middlesbrough is where the talk was. But no, I think for the most part, they're pretty much set. I mean, they still have Troy Deeney. Yeah, granted, he's on the wrong side of 30. I think he's 32, 33. Isaac's success. So if we play a 4-3-3, I mean, we've got 2 or 3, 4 players that they can throw in that center forward position and, hopefully make it work.
We have to remember when we're talking about Isaac, we got to call him by his full name. Isaac, great success. we found that one out 2 years ago, and we just went all Borat-y with it. We were just like,
great success.
His name is Great Success. How freaking amazing is this? God, I love African people when they name themselves crazy stuff. It's the best, man. Yeah. The African players, there's so many that have these funny, great, just superstar names. They're
Marvelous
amazing.
Nakamba.
I know. It's
lovely.
He's marvelous, for fuck's sake. It's just awesome. Just makes me smile every time I see the names.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like you almost need to get in bed with a super agent, kind of like Wolves have done, and find some sort. Now, obviously, it kind of flopped a bit with João Felix so far. Jury's still out. He's got a little bit more experience now. But if, like Wolves did, find somebody that'll bring in. The Premier League is going to be a step up for most players anyway, in the bar 15 clubs in the world, right? So if you can find somebody from Udinese, somebody from Fiorentina, somebody from even RB Leipzig to an extent, although there a lot of what they've done, I believe, is kind of, I don't know if it's all above board. It's kind of with ownership laws in Germany. I don't know how they all of a sudden got everything they did, but you find these sorts of players and then use that as a stepping stone, 2, 3, 4 seasons maybe, sell them for a huge profit, or like Flamengo in Brazil, or River Plate or Boca Juniors, something like that, where you can find these players on a relatively cheap situation. It's going to be a step up for them. They may not be good enough to make the next step, and you can hold on to them for 3 or 4 years, and they can bag you 15 each. I think that may be a good option. You know what I mean? But then you're kind of beholden to that super agent, which is a pain in the tits.
Yeah, it can be. Definitely can be. Especially when you fire/manager leaves club, and then he is the super agent's, his also his client.
So
it makes things a little sticky.
It's hard.
Well, with that being said, I did, Sam, want to just touch base real quick, and Steve, you're more than welcome to chime in on it as well. Apparently, the big signing so far this silly season has been the coaching carousel. And funny, normally how it's like one position gets signed and then all the chips fall. Why
Not
was
happening.
No, what? Everton signs Rafa, and then suddenly Nuno shows up at Spurs, and then I know in the championship, Parker left Fulham and went to Bournemouth, and all kinds of weird shit. It was like, hold on, Everton was the domino that dropped. Like, wouldn't you have thought Tottenham would have been the first one to drop as their quote the big club that never wins anything?
We all thought that it was going to be Nuno to Spurs immediately.
Yeah,
when he announced he was leaving.
Yeah,
and we thought that was going to be probably signed and delivered during stoppage time of the final game of the season. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it just wasn't. They interviewed a boatload of people. It seems Nuno was probably 10th on the list, almost. The old Roma manager, Fonseca, was one that they had interviewed a few times. And it just came to a screeching halt. Antonio Conte came to a screeching halt, which means either Kane's definitely not staying, or Daniel Levy's not going to put his hand in his pocket because they can't get, they couldn't get another manager to do. So I don't know. The whole thing smacks of just being very, very disjointed at Spurs right now. And I could see them not finishing in the top 6 next season.
Well, that
very easily.
Also depends if they keep Kane as well.
Well, that's what I'm saying. All of that could be up in the air.
All right. Well, that's going to about wrap it up, boys and girls. Sammy, any parting words?
Yeah. Tottenham are shit.
Okay.
Just haven't been here in a while. Thought I'd make that clear.
Cool. They're in Europe. You're not.
They're in the Europa Conference League.
And if you could be in the Europa Conference League?
Actually, I thought about it. I wouldn't.
Okay.
I'd like the rest.
All right.
I'd like a season.
You were talking transfer news. I do have some breaking news on Jack Grealish.
Okay. Breaking news when it feels like breaking.
Jack is still with Aston.
And he's still a fuckboy.
I pulled out my best do.
You knew that one. You knew what she was going to do. You knew the bit.
All right.
So that's it. That's all you got.
I did check the Googles before I said that.
The old Google box.
Steven, plug away. Watford supporters, how can they, if there's people that are interested in the club, want to learn more about them, how can they find out more about Watford?
I write probably 3 articles a week on Watford, a preview, a review, and a lot for the fantasy game. Mm-hmm. But I do a lot of writing over at Planet FPL. A couple of the guys who are over in England, I write for their side occasionally. But, I'm on Twitter at 6goal, on Instagram, 30-second beer review. That's where you can find me at.
Excellent. Fabulous. All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining us, boys and girls. Next up is Injury Time, where we will be recapping the famous 3rd of July party. Sam, if one wanted to find Injury Time, how would they go about doing it?
Very simple indeed. It is www.patreon.com/DUfootballshow. And as long as you sign up to either the $5 tier or the $9 tier, why, Mel?
Because $10 is just too much.
Damn fucking straight. You sign up to one of those top 2 tiers, you get access to Injury Time as well as Sound Check, which is our pre-show show.
Which this will be a very interesting sound check because you're going to hear us talking, but not Steven.
It's going to be brilliant. So if you want 45 seconds of dead air for $5 a month, hit us up.
You sure you don't want to plug it one more time? You've only done it once this entire show.
Patreon.com/DUfootballshow.
Atta boy. All right, everybody. Till next week. Peace.
Born in the land of Bowie, Maryland. Bred to be a fan of fucking Everton. Punch you in the eye and drink your rye. Sam Houston. Arsenal fans have another Sam. AKA the fucking Gooner Graham. Stump of a lord. Look straight in shorts. Sam Grammy.
Sam Graham.
Brooklyn United! Brooklyn United! Hit the fucking mute button!